of the Maimer, the Dvar Malchus, and we're speaking about that there's Ali Be'er and Nula. This is the idea of the Neshamas Yisrael is considered like a well, and there's a level of the Ali Be'er that it has to rise up, and then there's a Nula. It's a Srusa after this, because there's the Srusa Sata, that's the Ali Be'er, and there's a Srusa Leila of a Nula. That is Srusa Leila. There's different interpretations. Is it a Srusa Leila before the Srusa Sata? Is it Srusa Leila after the Srusa Sata? And we said that the Ali Be'er Nula has to do also is because that the Sarim dug it up and the Divi'am dug it up. So now we can explain the whole Arich is what he was talking about, about this Ali Be'er idea. This was speaking about the whole Maila of Shira and the importance of Shira, and how connected with Mashiach's times the level of Shira is. There's Shir Chadash versus that's Mashiach's Shira versus the Shira that's at present. That's the feminine, and one leads to the other. Okay, we're holding on the 5th page, page Tes Ois Daled, line 14. The idea behind this is, like it's explained in Mamor, Shedargis Bnei Yisrael, K'fi Shenikraim B'Shem Be'er, the way the Yidden, what level are the Yidden called a well? It's when the Yidden are already in the descent, in the state of descent. In other words, they're like underground, like we're going to explain, and you need to uncover what's hidden over there. Because they're in the state of descent, therefore we need to have the avoida to affect the idea that the well should rise up. In other words, go up from its descent. There's also another level of the neshama's source from which it descended. The level from which neshama descended from, that's the general state and situation of the neshama, the way it's found in Gan Eden. Till such a high level that would say about it in the brachas in the morning, the neshama that you placed in me is pure. From that utmost highest level, the pure state of the neshama, comes about to descend, that you created her, that descended to the world of Bria, you formed her, and you blew it until descended all the way to come down within me. Like the language used in the pasuk in Shir Hashirim and Negel Dargis or Ma'alef Bnei Yisrael concerning the levels and the qualities of the Yid. And the Rebbe says parenthetically, this is the whole idea of Shir Hashirim. Shari Klol, Shir Hashirim Medaber B'Shevach Knes Yisrael B'nei Yisrael. The general Shir of Shirim is speaking about the praise of Knes Yisrael and the Yidden in general, Shnekraim B'Shem Kala. Yidden and Shir Hashirim are called by the title of bride. V'achoisi, they're called my sister. They're called Rayosi, my beloved, Yoinosi, my dove, Tamosi, my complete one. So over there in Shir Hashirim, where it's constantly speaking about the qualities of the Yidden, speaking about terms of endearment about the Yidden. So it also says, line 27, Mayon Ganim, a wellspring of gardens. Be'er Mayim Chaim, it's a well of living water. V'noizlim Milavonon, and it flows out from Lebanon, from Lebanon. This pasuk, it explains the general inyan of levels of the neshamas of Yid. Top of the page Yud. Initially, before the descent, that we said the Be'er is a level of descent. They are in the state of a wellspring of gardens. And afterwards they descend to be a well of living water. And then afterwards they return and rise up to the level of flowing from Levanon. So now you can explain what these levels are, primarily first focusing on the difference between Mayon Ganim and Be'er Mayim Chaim, the difference between a Mayon and a Be'er, between a wellspring and a well. An explanation of this matter is line 40, the difference between these two levels of the well of the gardens and the well of the wellspring of the gardens and the well of living water. Move on matevois mayon ube'er guf. It's understood from the words wellspring and a well itself. Shemayon hu bria b'dei shamayim. A wellspring is something that's created by heaven. Nobody creates the wellspring. The wellspring is there. And the well is created by human intervention, through digging, etc. Therefore, the way the neshamas are before the descent down and below, in a level where they are pure, but also at a level that you created her. At the beginning of their coming into being, they're called a well. I'm sorry, excuse me. They're called a mayon, a spring. The idea of a wellspring, that is heaven-made, indicates spiritually as well the matters that the neshama has as a gift from above. Like we say, neshama shenasata bi, the neshama that you gave me, a gift. It is tahira, it is baras, etc. So we're talking about, just like a wellspring in the physical sense is something created by heaven, so too the qualities of the neshama, before it descends down here, are the qualities given to it by heaven. Similar to a literal wellspring, that is created by heaven. And it doesn't just say Mayon, but it says Mayon Ganim. It's the wellspring of gardens. In Ganim, Koi al Gan Eden. The word gardens is referring to Gan Eden. If it's referring to Gan Eden, why is it saying the plural? Mashanem or Ganim Lashoin Rabim? Why it says gardens in the plural? Hareza Lefishiyesh Gan Eden. Milas and Madregas and Cats, because in Gan Eden there's levels to no end. Maybe Rabbi Nazak and Betanya Mekisvi Arizal, like the Alter Rebbe quotes in Tanya from the Arizal's writing that there's multiple levels in Gan Eden. In general, even though there are many levels of Gan Eden to no end, there are two types of gardens: Gan Eden Ha'elim, Gan Eden Ha'tachten, the higher, upper level of Gan Eden, and the lower level of Gan Eden. So that's why it says Mayon Ganim, plural. So that the Gan Eden should be the way it's supposed to be. Yes, Soidach ben Mayon Ganim, there's a need for the wellspring of the gardens, just like in a simple sense. For an orchard, for a garden to grow, you need to have a source of water. Like it says in the pasuk, that a river comes out of Eden to irrigate the garden. So we see that there's an idea that there needs to be a flow of water, an irrigation, to make sure that the garden is a garden the way it's supposed to be. Who affects this? Who brings that the gardens should be irrigated? This is the Neshams Yisrael. How do Neshams Yisrael do this? Seemingly, Gan Eden should be higher. So he brings a proof. No, the Neshamas are even higher than Gan Eden. Because the thought of the Eden preceded everything, like the famous Maimer Chazal, that there's two things that preceded the entire world, Eden and Torah, which means that if Eden's thought preceded everything, is called Gamin and Aganim, that Eden's thought is higher. Hashem's thinking about the Eden is higher even than the gardens in the Gan Eden. Ubishvilam, and for the sake of Yidden, Bishvil Yisrael Shenikru Reishis, for the sake of Yidden, they are called Reishis. Baral Kimas Hashemayim V'Sa'aretz, Hashem created the heavens and the earth. And when it says Hashem's created the heavens and the earth, it doesn't just mean our physical heaven down here, our physical sky, our physical earth, but it includes the entire creation. Beginning even from the 10 spheres, that they were also created for the sake of Reishis, Bereishis Baralakim, for the sake of Reishis, which is the Yidden. Even the 10 spheres were created. And this is to be found, the hint for it, in this very passage. It is bizarre, like it's brought down the Zohar. The Zohar says that you find all the spheres, all the different levels of the spheres are hinted in and included in the terms heavens and earth. And the Bereishis Borol Akimas Hashemayim, the creation of the spiritual levels of heavens and earth, the spheres, that's how we have the physical heavens and earth. From them came down, from these spheres that are called Shemayim V'Aretz, came down the literal heavens and earth. That including also not just the heavens and earth themselves, but the fact that it says the word Eis by Hashemayim and Eis Ha'aretz, the Chazal say it comes to include all that they contain, all that is part of them. Top of Yud Aleph, of B'Lashon Rambam, Shemayim V'Aretz U'Mashu B'Neim. The Rambam talks about the creation of the world. He said Hashem was the source of the creation of the world, and the term of the Rambam is the heavens and the earth and everything that's between them, meaning all of the creation. But the main point that the Rebbe is trying to bring out is that Yidden preceded all creation, not just the physical creation, but the spiritual creation as well, including the level of Gan Eden. And because of that, the Yidden are Shehem Hamayon Hamashkes Aganim. They are the wellspring that irrigates the gardens, meaning Gan Eden. So there's Be'er, we said before, the well, which we haven't yet explained, we're going to explain now. We started off with explaining that the Yidden are the well. That's one level after the Yidid of Neshama down here. But the Neshama is the way they are above. They are a wellspring. Their gifts come from above, and they are the ones that irrigate Mayon Ganim. They are the ones that bring whatever flow into Gan Eden. Now he's going to speak in contrast to that level of Be'er, which is the Neshamas down here. Line 3. But the idea of a well that has human intervention in it. Like the expression of the pasuk, Be'er chafaru goimer, karu goimer, a well which is dug up, meaning that man has to do it, has to dig it up. It's indicating the work of a person. It's referring to the state and situation after the neshama descends from the level of Tahiri, La'ata Barasa, Yitzarto, Nafachta, Ad Bekirbi, that it descends from Tahiri to the level that you created her, you formed her, you blew her into till within me, going in all the whole Seder Ishtalshos, Bri Yitzir Asiya, Ba'olam Haza Tachten, all the way into this low world, Shein Tacht Lamata, and there's nothing lower than it, Bulshaina Tanya, like the expression of Tanya's. And this is the idea of a well. Similar to a well that when I dig up the well, it's from the underground, like what he calls over here veins, the veins of the ground, the underground channels of water. That's bekerev haaretz, within the depth of the earth. Just like Bekir Bi, that Neshama Shenasata Bi is Bekir Bi, just like the water of a well is deep inside the earth. V'sham Yeredas HaNeshama, and over there, to that depth of the earth, the Neshama descends, which is a Chelik El Kamim Mal Mamish, which is a part of Hashem above Mamish. Ukishnei HaPirushim Mezeh Mebal HaSimcha, like the two explanations in the meaning of the addition that Alter Rebbe says, The pasuk says Chelik Elokam Imal, and the Alter Rebbe in Perek Beis and Tanya adds the words mamish to it. What's the meaning of adding the word mamish? So there's two explanations of Baal Simcha V'Agula, from one whose celebration and redemption it is, but Frierdiker Rebbe has two explanations in this. That one explanation is mamish alakah. Don't think that it's like a hyperbole or an exaggeration when it says that an neshama is a part of Hashem above, but it means mamish, it's really so. It's really a part of Hashem. That's one meaning in the word mamish. Another meaning is umaloshem mamoshios. Mamoshios is something that's tangible. That the neshama, that's a part of Hashem, came down in something that's tangible, that has mamish to it. Shalachein yichol hanesham lislabish v'hoyel achodim im nefsha b'hamis v'ayodei maguf v'chelke ba'olam. This is the reason why the neshama can become joined with an animal soul. How is it possible for a godly thing that it is, and it's able to become enclosed with a body through the animal soul, and through that it's able to interact with the portion of the world that it's supposed to elevate? That's because the neshama has in it both extremes. It has the elakah part, and at the same time it has also the mamoshius part, the part that it's like a substantial, a tangible thing. Through this type of unity, and through this joining of two opposites, the neshama has the power and has the capability and the possibility to refine the nefesh habahamis, the body, is part of the world. It's explained at length in the series Ramarim of Tafli Shayim Beis, that the godly soul and the animal soul, with the body and the allotted portion of the world that we give it to elevate, need to have some type of similarity, something that they have to be able to relate to each other. Because if the neshama is too high, it's not going to be able to interact and do what it has to do in the world, and even in the nefesh habahamis, etc., etc. We'll show you Gemara, like the expression the Gemara, lefum gam l'shichna, according to the camel is the load. So Hashem only gives us what we are capable of doing. Chazal say, when I request from the Yidden, I do not request according to my capabilities, but rather lefi koichan, according to their capabilities. And then, once we are requested according, once we are given the capabilities, then we're requested. Line 22, this means initially Hashem gives us the power and the capability. And afterwards, it's asked of the person, now that we gave you this power, now that we gave you these capabilities, now we are asking you to do according to the power that was given. In a similar vein concerning the godly soul, that the nefesh elokis needs to refine the animal soul and the body and its portion of the world. Like it's explained in Tanya, that the neshama itself does not need any type of repair. It itself is perfect. It just came here to repair and to fix up to the nefesh habahamis and the body and this portion of the world. And how does that happen? You read this labira mikta, top of Yud Beis, through descending to the deep pit, the dungeon, to this low world, that there's nothing, no level lower than it. In such a manner it descends, it becomes similar to and associated with the body and the animal soul, like we said before. It has to be able to relate to it, to be able to join and work with it. Until the well-known expression that Shalakusu bischachus umetzius ivepshitus, that elikus, godliness, is something that's perceived by the person and by the creations as being novel and out of the ordinary and unique, whereas existence is obvious. Somebody's going to tell you there's a world outside. You're going to say, what's the chiddush? Somebody's going to tell you, you know what, there's a God that runs the world. He starts thinking, oh, Taki, it makes sense, etc. In other words, what's taken for granted is existence, and what's not taken for granted, and a person needs to think about it, etc., is Hashem's existence. Prior to the neshama coming down, prior to Seder Ishtalshalos, it was the other way around. The existence was something that was surprising, and and Hashem's being was a given. So that's how much the neshama becomes enmeshed and similar to the lower aspects that it needs to refine, because it lives in that type of world and lives in that type of mentality where godliness is a chiddush. I say, after the descent of the neshama down below, needs to be the service down below. Our actions and our service. Like the pasuk actually says by us in our parsha, they dug it up. We are now, it's necessary now for digging and finding the neshama. But in such a manner that through that should be an ascent, just like when you dig up a well, so that the water should rise. To such a degree does it have to have an ascent that it should have been worthwhile for it the entire descent. Yerida tzarech aliyah is the famous expression in Chassidus, that every descent is for the sake of an ascent. So therefore, it needs to be, the digging and our avodah has to be to such a degree and of such power that it is worthwhile, and it's an elevation that's more than it was before. This means though even before the descent, the neshama was in the state of these the wellspring of the gardens, so already it was a very high level. The neshama was impacting Gan Eden. The neshama already then was a wellspring of Gan Eden. Descent to pass through this low world. There's nothing lower than it. To affect over there a home for Hashem down below. It's similar to a well that the waters descend derech sulama de pras, through the ladders of the river Pras. So the Gemara on the side, he explains over there. Let's actually read it. It's easier if we read it inside. Look on the left side of the page, line 43. So we'll be able to see what exactly the Rebbe is referring to over here. Amr b'Gemara. The Gemara says, Kol ha-naharis lamata mishalosh naharis. All the rivers in the world are lower than the three rivers of Chedekel and Pishon and my mind is blank now. The three rivers. Oh, he's going to say it. And Gichon, v'gimel naharos lamata mepros, and all the three rivers that we just now mentioned are lower than Nahar Pros. Pirish Rashi explains, Kol naharos sheboil lamata. All the rivers in the world are below Chutz Megimel Naharos Chedekel Pishon v'Gichon, except for the three rivers enumerated in Bereshis of Chedekel, Pishon, v'Gichon. Shekol Naharos sheboil boy misham. All the rivers in the world begin from those rivers, so those rivers are higher and flow into them. V'shoyalim, and the Gemara asks, V'areyesh einso de medallion. So Rashi explains, or Pirish Rashi says in the parentheses, Rashi explains, Einois hamayim hanoivim hanoivus baharim ramim. We know that there's well springs, there's springs of water in very high mountains. Vahanu have a gevoyim mipros, and they are even higher than the river Pros, and they shoot off in different rivers. V'hechi asim mipros. How could you say that all the rivers come from the three, and the three comes from Pros? How could that be? The Gemara answers, Hane sulme de Pros ninu. These springs that are on the top of the mountains are the ladders of Pros. What does that mean? Upirish Rashi. Rashi explains, Mekalchin tachas karkam. They are flowing underground. Va'oilim baharim k'may sulam, and they are going up in the mountains like a ladder until this Nahar Pros, which was lower than that mountainous level, is actually the source of the spring on top of these very tall mountains. V'hainu shemei Nahar Pros. Mechalchel and Taxarkia, the waters of the river Pros are like flowing under, not Taxarkia, Taxakarka, underground. And they are rising up and flowing in those springs that are in the heights of the mountains. I lost track of time, so we'll stop over here.